Okay, these notes are similar to your previous notes, just a few more steps in combining things. So you're going to label it as notes, and it's objectives 60 to 63. Okay, so objective 62 is multiplying two binomials. Okay, so we've got two sets of parentheses that we're distributing and then combining like terms. Okay, and then objective 63 is multiplying binomials by trinomials. Okay, so I'm just going to do two examples of each before you do your notes on your own. Okay, so just be careful with the rules. Okay, so problem number 62, we've got 3x to the second plus 8. And then 3x to the second minus 8. Okay, so we're taking the first term and we're going to distribute it to each one of the things that is in the other parentheses. Okay, so I'm going 3 times 3, which is 9. And then remember, when we multiply our variables, we don't actually multiply the exponents, we add the exponents, which in this case ends up being the same thing. Okay. So x to the second times x to the second is actually x to the fourth, because we're adding them, okay? Then we distribute now the 3 to a negative 8, so 3 times negative 8 would be a negative 24, okay? And then x to the second, there is no variable with that one, so it just stays as x to the second, because there's nothing to compare with it. Okay, so we're done distributing this one. So now we are distributing this one, just like we did the other one, to both of the things that are in the parentheses. Okay, now this time I have 8 times 3 and it's positive versus a negative 8 like it was in the last one. So that's going to make it a positive 24x squared. And then a positive times a negative is going to be a negative, and then 8 times 8 is 64. Okay, so we're done distributing. So now you just need to look, because it's adding and subtracting. And with adding and subtracting, we combine like terms. Okay, so we don't do anything with the variables. The variables just tell us which ones are the same terms. Okay, so this one and this one are the only ones that are like terms. Okay, so that means that this comes down, because we're not changing that. Okay, I have a negative 24 and a positive 24, so they cancel each other out. Okay, so there's no more x squared left. But I still have that negative 64, so I bring this down. Okay, so this is your answer. And what they call this, when we move on to actual factoring, because we're going to go backwards after this section, is this is a perfect square binomial. It means that this number is a perfect square, this number is perfect square, and the sign in the middle has to be a negative. So when we go back to factoring and breaking things apart, the square root of 9 is 3, right? So we would split it 3 and 3. And then x to the fourth, I can split it evenly into 2 and 2. Okay, and then the minus means the signs are going to be different. Okay, so I have a plus and a minus. Okay, and then the square root of 64 is 8. So we split up 8 and 8. So they call that a perfect square binomial. Okay, so the bottom one is your answer. That's definitely great. Okay, now we're going to try another one. Okay, so this is number 61. Okay, and it's 5x minus 6 and a 2x minus 8. Okay, so I'm distributing the first one to the first one. So 5 times 2 would make it 10. I have an x and an x, so I have two of them, because remember their exponents are 1 when we don't write them, so 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, so now I'm distributing this to the last one, so 5 times negative 8 is going to give me a negative 40, and I bring down an x, because there was 1 here, just not 1 with the 8. Okay, so I'm done distributing the first one, so now I'm going to the second one. So I distribute here, which gives me a negative 12x. And then a negative times a negative is going to give me a positive, and then 6 times 8 is 20. Okay, so again, we're looking for like terms. These two in the middle are like terms. The signs are the same, so I add, which gives me 52. And remember, you don't do anything with the variable. The variable just helps you find which ones are the same. Okay, and then we bring these two down because nothing changed on them. That was a negative 52. Okay, so it's 10x squared minus 52x and a positive that is my final answer. Okay, so just be careful of your signs, not losing track of what you do when you add and subtract, take the sign a larger number. Okay, so now we're going to look at trinomials. Okay, so number 63 is our first binomial times a trinomial. So it's really the same thing. You're just having to distribute it to one more thing. Because before it was to a binomial, which means 2. Now we're just distributing it to a third. So we have 6x squared minus 6x plus 6. Okay. So I'm taking this number and I'm not distributing it twice. I'm actually going to distribute it 3 times. Okay. So 5 times 6 gives me 30. Remember, I'm adding my exponents, so there's 1 here and 2 there, so that would make it x to the third. Okay, now I'm distributing it to the second one, so 5 times a negative 6 is going to give me a negative 30. I have an x here and an x here, so there's 2 of them. Notice they're going in descending order. Okay, and then 5 times 6 again is 30. Okay, this one didn't have an x, but the first one did, so that's a x. Okay, so I'm done distributing my first one. Now I'm distributing my second number, and I'm distributing it 3 times. And you can write these all in one line if you want to. When I have long ones like this, I end up writing them below the like term, just so they're already grouped together. So you can choose to do this all in one line, or do it the way that I have it here. Okay, same thing. You're just going to remember to group your like terms. Okay, so 6 times 4 is 24, and I have an x squared, so I'm going to put it where my x squared is at, just so they're already grouped up together. Okay. Now I'm going 4 times a negative 6, which gives me a negative 24, and there is only an x, so I have it grouped with the one that is supposed to be grouped. Okay, and then the last one, 4 times 6 again, is 24. So now this just makes it nice, because then the like terms are grouped up together. But if you did it all in one line, that's fine. Just make sure you're paying attention to your signs. Okay, so there's nothing to group with that one, so it stays the same. Okay, I have a negative 30 and a positive 24, so that's going to give me a negative 6, because the signs are different, so I subtract to take the sign of the larger number. Okay, and then I just bring down my x squared. We don't do anything with the variables when we're adding and subtracting. Okay, signs are different again, but this time the larger number is a positive 6x. Okay, and then there wasn't anything to group with the 24, so it just comes down. So this is your final answer. And just make sure you're writing them in descending order. It's not wrong if you don't, it's just hard for whoever's grading it to be skipping around to try to find your numbers and making sure your signs are correct. Okay, so one more of these and then you're going to try them on your own. Okay, so number 65. Okay, we have 2x plus 1 and a 7x squared plus x plus 7. Okay, so if I distribute, and this time I'm going to write it all in one line just so you can see it done both ways. You can choose which method is better for you. Okay, so that's going to give me 14x to the third. Okay, so now I'm distributing to the next one. Well, it's 2, and then there's a 1 number in front of these. So you don't have to put the 1 there, but we just know it's 2 times 1, so that's going to be a positive 2x to the second. Okay, so now I'm taking the 2x over to the 7, which is going to be a positive 14x. Okay, so I'm done distributing the 2x. So now I'm going to distribute this. Okay, so I have a positive 7x squared, and then that's, I keep on doing that. And that's that one, so 1 times 1 is just going to be 1. Then I have an x. Okay, and now the last one going over here is going to be a positive 7. Okay, so writing in descending order, I have x to the third, there isn't another x to the third, so it stays the same. Okay, I have an x to the second, I'm looking for another x to the second. Signs are the same, so I'm going to add, so 7 plus 2 is going to be 9, x to the second. Okay, and then I have a 14x and a 1x, so that's going to give me 15x. Okay, and then the only thing that's left is the plus 7. Okay. So they're written in descending order, and all of the like terms have been combined, and I'm done. Okay, so these really are kind of fast to do, just as long as you're slowing down and paying attention. Multiply right. Remember your rules on your signs and what you do with your exponents. Okay, so you're going to finish the rest of the notes other than not doing the ones that I did with you. Okay, and your the sub that's going to be here, that's going to correct them with you. I believe she's going to have you grade them at the end of class. So stay focused and stay working on these and get going. Good luck.